Hello there, this is a solution to the Fibonacci micro challenge. If you haven't done so already, I would recommend cloning the HiPyLiv / micro hyphen challenge GitHub repository to your local to a local directory on your computer. So I've already done that. So if you do that and you take a look inside, you can see you've got the easy, hard, and intermediate folders and the README there. Let's go and look at the Fibonacci challenge. Here it is. So if you open up the README, okay, this challenge gets you to generate the nth number in the Fibonacci sequence, where each number is the sum of the previous two numbers in the sequence, blah, 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 blah. So your key objectives here, you're going to write a very simple function that just returns the nth number in the Fibonacci sequence. And you're going to limit that number, that input number. I think we're going to limit it to 100,000 here. Okay, anything bigger and your computer will struggle. There are loads of different ways to do this. So the way I'm doing it is probably the simplest sort of brute force way of doing it. It's going to be computationally expensive. You're going to be able to think of much more imaginative ways to do this. Okay, right. So let's go back. The file I want to work on is Fibonacci.py. Here it is. So at the moment it's just an empty function. There's a doc string in there. It's returning val at the moment, but there's nothing really to return. I am going to just jump straight in here. So I'm going to need to get the user to input a number n, which I'm then going to pass to this method. Okay. So let's just do val equals input. Please input an integer less than 100,000. Okay. And just to check this, just that you're satisfied that work, you can run that. There you go. It's asking me for an integer, so I'll put 1. There you go. It's done it. Okay. So nothing's happened yet. Nothing's happened. Okay. So I'm gonna start to work on this. So okay, let's have a think about this. So I want to create. So I don't trust the user. Never trust the user, right, to do what you ask them to do. So I don't trust the user to input an integer that's less than 100,000. Okay, so I'm just going to try and make sure that they've done that to begin with. So you can use the try statement. N equals integer n. So also I'm converting the number that they're inputting into directly to an integer, because the input statement doesn't it doesn't define a data type. Okay, so you could actually put a string in there. We're not going to worry about doing any error trapping for whether it's strings or integers or alphanumeric or anything like that. We're just going to assume that they've done an integer, but I'm going to convert it to an integer anyway. And I'm going to say if n is too big, 100,000, I'm going to return input too big. Okay, else I am going to, okay, before I write the else, okay, I'll do it. So we'll call this our Fibonacci loop. Okay, I'm going to define first of all two variables. Okay, I'm going to call them A and B, and I'm going to set them both to 1 to begin with. So you can do that in Python. You just sort of define a list of variables and then the corresponding list of values you're setting them to afterwards. And then I'm going to set a loop here. So I want to loop. I want to loop in the range of everything up to n. So if I had, if I input an integer n equals 100, I want to loop from 0 up to 100. Actually, I want to go up to 99. That will become obvious in a second. Okay, so let's do a loop for I in range n minus 1 is how you do that. Oh, and I'm going to take. Then I'm going to redefine my variables a and b. I'm going to define a as b. Okay. and then I'm going to define b as a plus b, which of course is what we're doing with the Fibonacci sequence. So for every number up to n, I'm taking the numbers before it and I'm adding them all up. Okay. So for example, the first value is going to be 1. The next value is going to be 1 plus 1, which is 2. The value after that is going to be 1 plus 2, which is 3, and so on and so forth. Okay. So and we're going to return a. Okay. So actually, I don't want this in that return statement there. So that all happens if n is an integer. Oh, n can be converted to an integer. And if it doesn't, I think I described that really badly earlier. Okay, let's do it again. So the try statement here, I essentially want to make sure that the user has input an integer. Okay, so I'm sure there's 100 ways you could do that, but I'm using this try statement. So I'm using the online 7. I've got n equals int n, right? So if n isn't an integer or cannot be converted to an integer, right? Say I said n equals hello world, right? Say it's completely text. If I try and convert that into an integer, I will get a type error. Okay, so it'll throw up an error and stop the code working. So this everything after that line within this try statement won't compile, and I'll move on to this what I'm writing now, which is the except statement, and I want it to say return input must be an integer. Okay, so that should be it. So we can test this now. Let me just check this. Yeah, that looks okay. Save that. Right, so if I run this now, nothing's going to happen because I haven't actually called that function. So I can do print. Think of a number, any number. Fib, let's just try 1,000 to begin with. Okay. Right, so if I run that now, Python 3, run that file. Let's try. Oh, what am I doing? What have I done? Bear with me a second. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, it should be val, right? I'm putting val in here because I'm asking for a number, so it should be print val. Has it actually returned that? Yeah. Let's try it again. Save that, and then try 100 this time. There you go. Right, it's done it. It's printed out the 100th Fibonacci number. Oh, it's cut me off. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Nice and simple. There's a couple of things I always do when I'm testing here, and you might want to do the same. It's completely up to you. If I wanted to use this as a module in some other script, then I don't really want these two statements here because they're going to compile when I compile that new script. So let me show you what I mean. If I come out of here, if I just run a shell here, Python 3, and I import what I've just written, which was Fibonacci. Okay. See, as soon as I import it, it asks me for an input, and I might want to run that function independently in some other script. So that's not really any good. It'll still work, but I don't really want that to happen. So I go back here. So below, I want to use this statement here: if name, and don't worry about the underscore here. That's just some Python nomenclature. Equals main. Then run it. Then run these two statements here. Okay. So if I just run that as normal now, as a script, it'll do it. Okay. That's the 1000th Fibonacci number. Awesome. But if I try and use it in another script or a shell, then it shouldn't compile those two lines at the bottom there. Import, sorry folks, Fibonacci. Spelled import wrong. Okay, so see, nothing's happened there, right? But now I could do something like value is equal to fib. Okay. Oh, don't forget to use the prefix Fibonacci. Value, always do that. Fibonacci dot fib 100. Okay, so now it's done it, and it's thrown that result into the value parameter. So if I write value and wrote that, it'll actually give me, it'll return the 100th Fibonacci number. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense. Yeah, and good luck.